Let me take a second and get set up. A couple caveats before I start. I can be lazy with a mic, so if I start to drop it, let me know. Step two, I very rarely stand still, so I'll probably be in your way at some point in the presentation, but stick with me and tell me to move. So a little bit about me. I am new to Paducah. I've been here 5 months. I come from Dayton, Ohio. There I spent over 20 years working for a media company who sold newspaper, TV, and radio and digital, all under one roof. Most of that time I've spent in the digital arena, the past 5 years specifically focused on digital. So I've worked really hard on my education and bringing up my knowledge in that space. I have my Google Analytics certification. I also have all 6 of my AdWords certifications. But the thing that I'm most proud of is my IAB DMSC certification. So if anyone's not familiar, the IAB is a third-party, basically governing body over everything digital. They do a ton of research in the area, in the space of digital. They also set a lot of the guidelines and the rules for what happens to make sure there's not bot traffic, viewable impressions, those types of things. If you're working with somebody in the digital space, I will tell you, it's pretty easy to get your Google Analytics certification and your AdWords certification. It's a lot more challenging to get your IAB DMSC certification. It's a test you have to take. It takes about 2 hours to take that test. You have to get recertified every 2 years. There aren't a lot of people out there that have this kind of a certification. It's a tough one. They basically strip search you before you go into a small room by yourself to take the test. No watches, no wallets, no purses, no calculators. It was challenging. I hope I never have to take it again. I'll continue to earn my continuing education. So I'm going to take the next couple of minutes and we're going to go back in time. And I don't know necessarily who you like. If you like to identify yourself as Marty McFly with Back to the Future or Doctor Who or Superman and spinning the world backwards to go back in time, we're going to go back about 143 years to 1876. Who can tell me what this is? Telephone. First telephone. First telephone. That's what the first telephone looked like. Anybody have an idea how to use it? Couldn't if you made me. So we'll jump forward to 1890. A little bit more familiar. Think you could use this? Probably, okay. 1910. Technology's changing a little bit. How about 1930? Looking a little bit better? Anybody use this? No. Here, 1950. Now we're good? Who doesn't know how to use this? Everybody does? I'm going to let Kyle show a little video. This is a little long. It's 4 minutes, but stick with me.
Okay, so go ahead and lift those blocks. You have 4 minutes to download that phone.
Will they do it?
With that phone.
4 minutes. Can they do it?
I don't want to button it in. There you go.
It's all up in here. Oh no, yours all the way up. I already started. Or did you go all the way around back here? Dude, that makes sense. Yeah.
They're taking the zero to the numbers.
Okay, so if you're getting your 0 is correct.
And they don't pick up the handset.
Is that how you're thinking?
So you don't stop at this. Oh, this the last one? Because look.
You just successfully dialed 0.
No. Stop. Okay. So.
Wait a minute, so when you go like this, they said that was right.
Is anybody screaming in their head, pick up the handset?
Does the second also have zero? The second
Is it scratching? Bring it all the way around and then like.
You guys have made this all perfect. Everyone is so.
Yeah, everybody has. Wait a minute. Take up the fun.
Put the phone here, here, what do you hear? What does it sound like?
Incorrect. Correct for zero.
What is zero sound?
What does the zero sound?
What's zero sound?
It just goes. Okay.
You have 1 minute left.
So if the zero is correct, what do you do with the zero?
You guys are doing great because you're talking dirty. You're working it out.
Yeah, we're also in last place. So.
You went all the way over here, you need to go all the way around. All the way around. Stop.
What's with all the holes though?
It's a great
Oh.
question.
We are so done.
No, you're not.
That is good enough. 25 seconds.
Tell me numbers.
708, 703. Where you at, man?
7,
Oh.
0.
850.
Where you at?
850. 850.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Love that face. So who's tempted to test a younger person in their life right now with this? Yeah? So I'll give you a caveat. Don't do what I did. I have a 12-year-old niece. I sent her a picture of a rotary phone. I asked her if she knew how to use it. She texted me back in 2 minutes and said, yes, I Googled it. So I set it up completely wrong. Just put the phone in front of them. Will I? So we'll move forward. So 1970, look a little bit more familiar. So if you're anywhere like me, my age, this was mounted on our kitchen wall, but the cord was about 10 times as long. That way it could stretch into the family room. That way you could sit in the comfy chair and watch TV while you're talking to your friends and family. 1973, first cell phone. Anybody have one? How easy is this to put in your pocket? Carry in your purse? So some people called it a brick, some people called it the block. 1990, we went wireless with our phones, but you really couldn't walk that far. There was no way you were going to carry this to work and hope that it still worked. The mid-1990s, cell phones started to look like this. Not very pretty, but at least you could put it in your purse, in your pocket, and walk around. We're getting closer to today. So 2005, cell phones changed a little bit more. Also in 2005, you had the inauguration of Pope Benedict XVI. Anybody seen this picture before? Yeah. 8 years later, you had the inauguration of Pope Francis. Oh, look at the difference. You might have a flip phone here. There might be one here. I'll give you, there might be a dozen of them out there, maybe 2 dozen of them, but nothing like the next picture, right? So for Pope Benedict, most of the phones were flip phones. At least that's what I've always called them. You guys call them flip phones? Mm-hmm. Stop. You're not cool. Gotta tell you, not cool. They're not flip phones anymore. These are now called dumb phones. They're dumb phones. That is a smartphone. The difference is that second phone is connected to the internet. Flip phones were never connected to the internet. So what happened during that 8-year time span? You had the first Apple phone come out, June 29th, 2007. So little survey, who has an Apple phone? Wow, most of you. That's interesting, because in the United States, most people have Droid phones, Android phones, versus Apple. In Europe, most people have Apple.
We're European.
You fit right in. A year later, you had the App Store open. Now you can play solitaire on your phone. Who's got solitaire? Angry Birds? Words with Friends? Candy Crush? One Candy Crush? That's it. You guys are fibbing. And today, so this probably isn't really today, but it's as soon. Was supposed to be launched on April 29th. It was postponed to the first week of May. Now it's been postponed probably for another couple months. This is Samsung's phone that folds. So if you're like me and you carry a smartphone and a tablet because you like to present things, this is actually a phone that unfolds into a bigger screen so you can present things on it. That's exciting to me. I can't wait. I will only have to carry one device moving forward. So I need your help. We're going to do a little bit of an exercise. If you have a smartphone, I need you to stand up. Promise I won't bite you guys. Everybody's standing. That's pretty good. I like this. All right. If you used your phone this morning as an alarm clock, you can sit down. That's over half the room. If you sent or read a text message this morning, you can sit down. Just got 2 people left. All right. Did you send or read an email? No email. All right. Your phones are turned on, right? Yeah?
Before the presentation, yes, I turned it off for the presentation.
No, you can keep them on now. How about social media? Did you go on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest? Nothing. All right. Okay. Check the weather? No. Use it as a map to get here? No. All right, I'm in trouble. All right. How about shopping? Visit Amazon, your favorite shopping website? No. Played a game? Oh, I'm in trouble. Did you use it to talk to anybody? Call anybody? I need somebody to call these people. All right, thank you. You can sit down. So most of you sat down even before we got to the point of even using it as a phone, right? How crazy is that? Over half the room sat down just for it being an alarm clock. So what are you guys really using this device for? How much of your day is it consuming? Have we become addicted to them? Nobody wants to admit that. You do? Yeah? Okay. Let's look at some statistics. I'm going to pick on my team that's here. That's why I made them sit up front. Now they're regretting coming. So this has been on the wall of my office for 2 months now. This is the age of people who own smartphones. So when you look at 18 to 29-year-olds out there in the United States, what percentage of them own a smartphone? You guys know? Do you want to take a guess? 90%? 90%? 94%. How about 30 to 49-year-olds? You think that's the same? You think it's higher? A little lower? 89%. Good job. How about 50 to 64-year-olds?
75.
All right. 64 plus? 46%, pretty close. Good job. All right. Does gender matter? It does? Okay. What percentage of men own smartphones? 85, 90, 80? How about women? 92? 75. How about race? Does race play a factor in this? Yes? 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 So blacks, 75%. Whites, 77%. Hispanic, where's it going to end up?
76.
76? 75? 80? 77. Education play a part? Yes. So if you have less than a high school, less than your GED, what percentage own a smartphone? 70, 80? That's what I'm hearing? Less than a GED? 57%. How about you've graduated from high school? Where are we at now? 69%. Some college? 80%. College graduate? This is just U.S. numbers. This is just U.S. numbers. It's a Pew Research study. It's not showing up on there, but that's what this is from. 91% for college. What about type of community? Does this have an impact? Reception, right? It has an impact. So urban, 83%, suburban, 78%, rural, 65%. Excuse me. So the average person will swipe their phone open 47 times a day. Who's average? Who's below average? Who's above average? Okay. 85% of people will get on their phone after starting a conversation with somebody. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. 80% of people check their phone within an hour of going to bed and an hour of getting up. 35% of them do it within 5 minutes of going to bed or getting up. Who's part of the 35% with me? That's about right. Average use per day, we're almost up to 3 hours a day on our cell phones. When you add in a tablet to it, you're over 4.5 hours a day. Social media interaction, the exception of you guys, probably. I still question whether your phones are on, but yeah. You're over an hour a day on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, whatever your vice is. And you're tapping your phone over 2,500 times a day. So is cell phone addiction real? Let's look at some of the facts for it. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. 85% of people will look at their phone while having a conversation with somebody. There's an actual term for that. Does anybody know the term? Rude. Rude. That's one. It's called phubbing. That's what it's called. Who's guilty of it? Who sits down at the kitchen table with their family, starts a conversation, and then picks up their phone to look at it just because it beeps? No? You guys are breaking yourself of it? That's good. So some more stats. 47% of smartphone users recognize that they probably check it a little bit too often and try to break themselves of it. Has anybody done that? Tried to break yourself of that? I have. I went and bought myself a smartwatch. I thought that'll stop it. At that time, I was checking my phone over 200 times a day. So if I buy this watch, I won't do that. I went from doing this to doing this. Didn't work. 30% of them feel like it was successful. It wasn't successful for me. Average number of apps that you have on your phone is 80. Does that seem about right? No, less? You have no clue? You're 100 of them, I know you. You'll use about half of them. However many you have, you'll use about half of them in any given month. 75% of online viewing now is happening on a cell phone. 50% of transactions are happening. So don't think of this necessarily as sales. Think of this as any kind of form fill that you might need to happen on your website. If you are hiring somebody and you need them to fill out an application, what's that look like on their phone? If you need them to sign up for your email because you want to be able to email them on a consistent basis, that's considered a transaction. And this number you might want to write down because we're going to touch on it a little bit later. 82% of smartphone shoppers conduct near-me searches. So if you're new to the market like me, I do a near me search almost every single day trying to find your businesses so I know where to go. What happens if when I do that search, your information doesn't show up correctly? Your address is in there wrong. The name of your business is spelled wrong. Your phone number might be off by a couple digits. Are you going to get me as a consumer? This is my favorite commercial of all time and my least favorite commercial of all time.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Good, have a seat. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
We are a marketing research company, so I need to collect your phone so you can take pictures, can Instagram, and tweet about things. Thank you. Go ahead and put your safety goggles on at this time. Okay.
This is my phone.
Yeah. What was your reaction when I threw your phone? What's your...
A little bit lost.
It's scary.
It's kind of terrifying how many things are connected to my phone. And I want to punch you in the face.
How does it feel to be connected?
My chest hurts. Broke.
I feel like I'm in Pioneer Days or something.
I feel so bad for him, he can't even say anything.
Because you're so connected with it, like I have to have it on me at all times.
Well, let me ease your mind when I give you your phones back. So how does that feel?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
He couldn't talk till he got his phone back.
We're having a connection.
The connection.
I don't want to disconnect. I live in this modern age and I'm very happy with it.
Now you want to see a better way to keep connected?
Oh.
This is the 2016 Chevy Cruise. Cruise offers built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi with a reliable connection more powerful than
You wanna go ahead?
So this thing without its phone.
So that's my favorite commercial because it's so real. It's my least favorite commercial because it's so real. My anxiety level skyrockets for them. Like two of the ladies, I want to stop them from putting their hands in the wood chipper. And the gentleman that just pats his chest, like he can't even say anything. That's how frustrated he is. So I'm going to ask my coworkers, I've got 4 of them here with me, to stand up, and then I need 5 more volunteers to stand up. I'll pick you. I'm not going to make you guys do anything. We're just going to demonstrate something. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 2 more. 9, perfect, 10. All right, 10. So what we represent, each one of us represents 10 people. We're going to be talking in percentages. So when you look at citizens of the United States, what are they willing to give up for a year instead of their smartphones? Exercise? All right. 3 out of 10, so 3 of the people standing up right now, will give up seeing their friends in person for a year. All right. A third of the people standing up will give up sex for a year rather than give up their cell phone for a year. 45% of them said, I'll put off going on vacation for a year. So 4.5 people that are standing up will give up a vacation for a year rather than give up their cell phone. 46% said they'll work an extra day a week rather than give up their cell phone. Who's up for a 6-day work week? And this one's not me. 55% of them said they'll forego going out to dinner. They'll cook every single night rather than give up their cell phone. I don't like to cook that much, but I like to eat. Thank you guys for standing up. Does that surprise anyone? Is it any of them you? Would you hand me your cell phone right now and let me keep it for a year? I'm going to test you guys. When we leave, I'm going to have you hand your cell phones to me. So this is an app that I asked some of my coworkers to download. I had downloaded it in the past to check my activity. It's called Checky. It actually keeps track of how many times a day you're searching on your phone, you're opening up your phone. These are my stats from about a week ago, one day last week. You can see the day before, or the current day, I had opened my phone 54 times. The day before I was at 47. Hey, I was average for the day. And then at the bottom are my stats for the week. So these are the last 7 days. So I'd ranged from like 65 down to one day I was at 12. I was at the casino that day playing poker. And you're not allowed to have your phone at the poker table. So that's why. But yet I still snuck and did it 12 times. So here are some of my team's numbers. Where would you be? So have we become addicted to our cell phones? Of course. Obsessed, at least. There really is addiction out there. You are seeing more social workers specialize in this, clinics pop up to address this. And there is a term for it. It's called nomophobia. It's a portmanteau that stands for no mobile phone phobia. And where most phobia is a fear of something, like I'm afraid of clowns or I'm afraid of spiders or the number 13, nomophobia is actually the fear of being separated from your phone. So actually not being with something. Anybody want to admit to this? 1, 2. So in the past, I think everyone would recognize it's extremely important to have great signage on the outside of your business, right? Kind of foundational to your advertising plan, that way people recognize who you are and why they should want to do business with you. I hope after we've gone through the previous slides and these numbers, you recognize that the way you appear online now might be even more important than the sign on the outside of your store. Anybody want to agree with that? So what do you do? Does anybody feel buttoned up with your online presence? How are you going to prepare for how people are finding your business today? I'll give you 2 things that are foundational. The first thing is you must have a responsive design website. Not just mobile friendly, but actually responsive. So what's responsive mean? Responsive means as a visitor to your website, no matter what type of device I use, your web pages are going to render well on my device. Does that make sense? I will share over half of online traffic now is coming to websites via a cell phone. This is more important than ever. Here's a responsive design website for a roofing company in northern Kentucky. On the left, you have what it looks like on a desktop. In the middle, a tablet. And then you have a Droid and an iPhone. Do your websites look this good? Has everybody heard of Mobilegeddon before? Anybody? Nobody. Okay, good. Who's heard of Google? The Google gods. Google rules the digital world, whether you like it or not. Between Google and YouTube, they own about 85% of the searches that happen out there right now. Google does this lovely thing every year. They have this algorithm. I shouldn't say every year, every day. They have an algorithm that says how high your website, your web pages will rank based off the search that I do. They change that algorithm on average twice a day. And they don't tell anybody that they're going to do it. And they don't tell you what they're going to do. 3 to 4 times a year, that change is significant enough to have an impact on your searches where you appear organically. And the people in the space, like myself, realize it about a week or 2 later. I've been working so hard on your SEO and trying to get you to page 1 and maintaining page 1 in the first spot for you, and now you've dropped to page 2, which is brutal. If anybody's ever been to a Google seminar, they all tell the same joke. Where's the best place to hide a dead body? Second page of Google search results. Because nobody goes there. In this instance, let me go back. Early in the year in 2015, Google came out and said, we're changing our algorithm. We're letting you know now that on April 21st, your world's coming crushing down. You have 3 months basically to make sure you have responsive design websites. If not, we're going to penalize you. If your website isn't considered mobile first, mobile friendly, we're going to push you down in search results pages. They'd never done that before. So let's talk about the benefits of having a responsive design website. Does anybody have a responsive design website versus a mobile friendly website? You're sure it's responsive and not just mobile friendly? You sure? One? You guys can raise your hand. We do. It's okay. So you get more mobile traffic. Makes sense, right? Faster mobile development. In the past, most people had what I'll say is a wired site, worked well for desktop, and an M.dot site. Now you only need to have one website. Lower maintenance costs, managing one website. Faster pages. Has to be able to load fast on a cell phone, right? Or what's going to happen? I'm going to move on to the next website. Lower bounce rates. If I have a good experience, I'm going to stay there. That makes sense. Higher conversion rates. Easier analytics reporting. You know what pages of the website they're visiting. Improved SEO, right? You're not going to be on page 2. You'll be on page 1. And improved online browsing. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So the second thing you need to do is make sure you're managing your local listings. Is anybody familiar with local listings? Okay. So there are about 80 to 100 directories out there. They're listing directories. And really in the online space, they represent your brick and mortar store. So when you think about the sign on the outside of your store having your name, address, and phone number be consistent, it's more important today that all of these listings have the correct information in them. So I said this earlier, name, address, phone number. Most people in the digital space will call this NAP. You might think it's easy to take care of this and to handle this, right? I can go to any of those 100 directories and put in my information and everything's going to be fine. I'm locked up, I look good. Here's your challenge. Multiple times a day, each one of those directories will send out spiders or crawlers to try to find out and make sure and confirm that that information's correct, right? So now me as a vendor, as a customer of yours, I've come in and I've done business with you. I had a good experience, I had an okay experience, I had a bad experience. I write some kind of review on you. I mistype in the street address. I mistype in the phone number. I mistype your name of the business. And now that spider or that crawler grabs that wrong information and pulls it into that directory. Maybe 3 spiders grab that information. Maybe somebody else is doing the same thing at the same time and types it in a little bit differently. It's incredibly difficult to keep these consistent. You have to check them almost every day. But the benefits of having them lined up and looking perfect, they amplify your online presence. That's cost effective. It's not very expensive to do this. You can do it yourself or you can pay somebody to do it for you. I will tell you, if you pay somebody to do it for you, they're able to protect it and make sure it doesn't change, and they're even able to suppress bad information that's out there. It improves your local visibility. So earlier, what did I say? 82% of people are doing near me searches, and it's important to make sure your name and address is lined up. Allows customers to write reviews on you. It improves your SEO. In the digital space, a lot of people believe SEO is a product that you can buy. It's really not. It's a journey. It's an accumulation of a lot of different pieces. One of those pieces is making sure you have strong backlinks to reputable websites. A backlink is a link somewhere else that comes back to your website, right? Google and the other search engines perceive these directories as reputable websites. So if your name, address, and phone number are consistent across all of them, they give you a check mark They say, this piece of your SEO looks stronger, we're going to raise you an organic search. They help strengthen your reputation. They increase brand awareness. It helps you show up in Google Gods. It helps you get discovered more. So hopefully I've demonstrated to you guys that these two things are incredibly important to you moving forward with your business. I had 2 hands for responsive design websites. Who has their local listings buttoned up? 1, maybe? Maybe? All right. So here's what I'll do to help you. For everybody here, what we'll do for being here is we'll run a free digital presence report for you. So you saw my team standing up. You're welcome to get with any of them at the end of it. We can actually run a report that'll walk through whether or not you have a responsive design website versus a mobile-friendly website, what your page speed looks like, whether or not you're advertising online. We'll go through your SEO analysis. We'll go through your content analysis, your infrastructure. We'll look at your social media and how robust you are on social media. We'll look at your local business presence. So this actually tells you how you pair in those local listings. And you can see from this one, they've done a great job of getting listed on them. They haven't done as strong a job as claiming them. And their name, address, and phone number isn't very consistent. They have a 73% error rate across local listings. And here's a sample of how they differ across all of them. Anybody interested in having this done? Yeah? Good. So what questions do you have for me today? None? One?
I got a
Couple?
Okay, on the local listing managers you mentioned, one of the things that I've done is I have different toll-free numbers on different websites so I can track which websites are more effective. And I can see how many leads I'm getting per website. But going off of this, using the local listing management, if I have a different phone number each time, that's going to cause an error to pop up, correct?
Yep, so I'm assuming you have multiple campaigns running or multiple strategies for those different phone numbers, correct?
Correct.
So for your local listings, I would just go ahead and use a main phone number for them to call in. Do you have like a phone tree set up or just, yeah, that's what I would use for your local listings. Any other, you have more questions? Yeah.
Let's see. How important is off-page SEO for, as far as like backlinks and stuff like that?
I estimated around 30%. So when you think about content and the keywords in your content and keeping that fresh and relevant and local and focused, I weight that around 60 to 70%, and the backlinks I rank around 30% as far as weight. Does that make sense? You had a question?
What would be your best practice on responding to negative reviews?
Address them.
Amy, what? Can you say the question again?
What's my best recommendation for responding to negative reviews? Don't ignore them. Address them. If they're true, overpromise, right? Give them something, make it look right, and make sure the public knows about it. If they're false, you can talk to whoever the provider is about taking it off, but you really have to have that documented some way. But it happens, especially in Google. And Google, you can say, this person's never done business with me, but they wrote a bad review, and they'll take it off usually. So, but address it as fast as you can, as publicly as you can. Any other questions?
You didn't mention this specifically, but we were on vacation in New Mexico of all places, and somebody was talking about the term Stitch Fix. And so can you address, our devices listing to us, doesn't matter if it's an Apple device, an Android device, Alexa, and I'd never heard of the term Stitch Fix before. It was spoken within earshot of my phone, and the next day on Facebook, Stitch Fix ads appeared. What is that called? Is there anything we can do about it where they're not, so they're not going to be listening?
You would have to turn those apps off. So with Facebook, Facebook Messenger does listen in on your conversations that you're having. So if you don't want it listening in, you have to turn off Messenger and turn it back on when you want to use it.
But let's say if I want to, someone mentions, hey, I need a new final drive for my excavator, how can I advertise to them?
How can you advertise to them? Because they've said
I
it?
mean, yeah, how can I use that? What's that technology called? Because I've researched before, I couldn't find it.
It's still within Facebook's algorithm for serving ads. They pull all that information in. So just about every ad network will pull in whatever information you're willing to volunteer as first-party data. So your Facebook profile, what you say, what you put out there as far as post, Facebook collects all that and starts to put you in buckets. So you can still advertise to those buckets based off of that information.
So there's not, so I actually run like a ad on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. It can actually, I've never seen a check mark that says, to these people.
No, it's not going to, but based off of your targeting, people that have the affinity or the intention or a bucket to buy, a behavior to buy, should be one of your choices there to target. Any other questions? No? All right. So if you guys would like to connect with me, you're welcome to. Here's my LinkedIn profile, my email address, my phone number. And I thank you guys. You got one more question, John?
I want to make a